So I'm like, this only makes him look bigger than he is, because they're making this nigga look like he's a terrorist. Like, yo, if he comes to town, the murder rate is going crazy.
Y'all ain't going to believe what just happened. NBA Youngboy finally broke his silence about getting banned from Louisiana. And let me tell you something, this man is heated as hell about the whole situation. I got exclusive information about what really went down at those New Orleans shows. Why the underscore feds showed up thinking his ops were coming with heavy artillery, and the real reason Youngboy said underscore it and just started walking through Bourbon Street by himself with no security. But here's the crazy part. Youngboy knew this was coming. He knew they was going to try to ban him after those shows. So he decided to go out with a bang. That birthday walk through Bourbon Street wasn't no accident. That was his middle finger to the whole system that's been trying to stop his success. This ain't just about one rapper getting banned from performing. This is about how they treat young black men who refuse to be controlled. Let me break this whole situation down for you, because what really happened in New Orleans exposed how corrupt these Louisiana officials really are. The return to Louisiana. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to October 2024, when Youngboy announced he was finally coming back to Louisiana after 7 years. This wasn't just any regular tour stop, this was his homecoming, his 26th birthday celebration, and his chance to show his home state that he made it despite everything they put him through. But the moment those shows got announced, the whole Louisiana establishment went into panic mode. We talking about the same police superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, who had been trying to keep urban artists out of New Orleans for years. This is the same woman who played a role in keeping Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl in his own city. According to sources close to Youngboy's team, they knew from day one that the police didn't want these shows to happen. The city was already dealing with budget problems. They couldn't even afford to pay their own employees. But suddenly, they had money to deploy 400 extra officers for 2 rap concerts. The math wasn't adding up, and Youngboy people started realizing this was bigger than just security concerns. This was about sending a message that successful young black men from the hood wearing welcome in their own home state. Federal fear. Now, here's where it gets really wild, and this is information that ain't been reported nowhere else. The feds showed up to those New Orleans shows because they claimed to have intelligence that Youngboy's ops were planning to attend with serious firepower. We talking about reports that people from Chicago were coming down with heavy artillery to start a war. But here's what really happened. The feds was spreading false information to local police to justify the massive security response. They told New Orleans PD that Kodak Black's people were coming to the show to cause problems. They said there was going to be shootouts, bloodbaths, the whole nine. None of this was true. Gang, there was never any credible threat from Chicago, from Kodak's camp, or from anybody else. The feds was playing psychological warfare, trying to spook local police into canceling the shows or making them so expensive that Youngboy couldn't afford to perform. But Youngboy's team called their bluff. They paid the extra security cost over $400,000 per show just to prove a point. They was like, y'all want to play games? We got the money to play, too. Proving them wrong, both shows went off without any major incidents, which exposed how fake all the security concerns really were. Over 17,000 people each night, and the worst thing that happened was some fans trying to get in without tickets and a couple of fights in the crowd. Typical concert stuff that happens at any major event, but the police and the media tried to make it seem like it was chaos. They falsely reported that there was a gunshot fired at one of the shows when it was really just equipment being broken down. They exaggerated every little incident to make it seem like the shows were dangerous. Meanwhile, Youngboy was backstage every night, staying out of trouble, performing his music, and showing love to his fans. He wasn't causing no problems. He was just being himself and celebrating his success with the people who supported him from day one. But the establishment had already made up their minds. They was going to use any excuse to justify banning him from future performances, even if they had to make up stories about what happened. The birthday walk. Here's where Youngboy's frustration finally reached its breaking point. After the second show on his 26th birthday, he found out that Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick was already talking about banning him from performing in Louisiana again. This was before anything even happened. They had already decided to use the shows as justification for keeping him out. So, Youngboy said, fuck it, and made the decision to go alone, along Bourbon Street. He was strolling through the center of New Orleans like a normal person, with no entourage or security. However, this choice wasn't made at random. This was computed. Youngboy knew exactly what he was doing, according to people close to his group. He wanted to show the world how much love he truly had in Bourbon Street, even though he was aware that doing so alone would cause a stir. His native state, he sought to demonstrate that every security worry was underscored, and that is precisely what took place. He was surrounded by thousands of admirers on Bourbon Street, but it wasn't dangerous or aggressive. It was just love. All they wanted to do was take photos, be respectful, and join him in celebrating his birthday. he had to be taken out by the cops. The gathering was so large that it was obstructing traffic, not because he was in danger. The money-related probe, however, this is what truly infuriated the Louisiana officials. The city made a lot of money from Youngboy's events, but they weren't paid. Millions were earned by the Smoothie King Center. The hotels were reserved, the eateries were crowded. However, the state and city were too foolish to increase their taxes in order to profit from all that. Sources acquainted with the matter claim that the shows brought in more than $1.25 billion. But because they spent so much money on needless security, the city hardly made a profit. To make a point about managing Youngboy, they were paying overtime to 400 police officers who didn't need to be there. In the meantime, Youngboy was footing the bill for the majority of that security. This individual was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to the city in order to perform in his home state, and they managed to voice their complaints about it. Security and safety weren't the actual problems. That little boy stood for everything that was out of their control. This young black man came from one of Louisiana's worst areas, overcame all obstacles, and went on to achieve greater success than the majority of the officials who attempted to outlaw him. Youngboy's manager, Alex Jr., announced on social media the day following his birthday walk that Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick has prohibited Youngboy from performing in Louisiana for the duration of her tenure. The message read, "Shout out to Twinkie Twinsky for telling us we're never allowed to perform in Louisiana again after these 2 shows. They don't want you to know this though. It is illegal for a city police superintendent to prevent someone from performing throughout the entire state. The law doesn't operate that way." In actuality, Kirkpatrick launched a campaign to use the prospect of costly security requirements and police persecution to persuade venues and promoters not to book Youngboy. Employed the same strategy against other accomplished black musicians. They can make it so costly and challenging to perform that venues won't book you, but they can't legally ban you. Under the pretense of public safety concerns, it is systemic subjugation. Sources close to the incident claim that before the shows even took place, Kirkpatrick had previously planned this prohibition. She justified it by saying that Youngboy's birthday walk demonstrated his recklessness and danger. However, the true reason was that his achievements revealed the ways in which they have been preventing other young people from the same neighborhoods from reaching their full potential. This is when things get really interesting because Youngboy isn't going to take this lying down. My sources claim that he has already spoken with federal civil rights attorneys to discuss bringing discrimination claims against Louisiana and the city of New Orleans. His legal team is claiming that the ban violates his constitutional rights to free expression and equal treatment under the law and is motivated by racial discrimination. They obtained proof that white performers with comparable or worse criminal records have been permitted to perform in Louisiana without any additional security measures. Additionally, Youngboy intends to submit complaints with the Department of Justice regarding the FBI's dissemination of misleading information to local police. Explain the extensive security reaction. Millions of dollars in damages might be awarded for a serious civil rights violation if they can demonstrate that federal officials misrepresented security dangers. What he intends to do with his platform, however, is the most intriguing aspect of his response. According to sources, Youngboy is filming a documentary exposing systematic oppression in Louisiana, emphasizing how successful black voices are silenced under the pretext of public safety. There is more to this than just Youngboy receiving. There is more to this than just Youngboy prohibited from entering Louisiana. This is about how young black guys who defy authority are destroyed by the system. He has been winning cases and avoiding difficulty, so they are no longer able to arrest him. They are now attempting to use economic warfare to ruin his career. Consider it. One of the most successful artists in the world, Youngboy employs hundreds of people and earns millions of dollars. His accomplishments ought to be honored, particularly in a state sack as Louisiana, which faces economic difficulties. However, because they are unable to control his message, they are attempting to force him out rather than embrace him. Lil Wayne was prevented from playing at the Super Bowl in his own city by the same police superintendent who barred Youngboy. This behavioral pattern is intended to prevent successful black artists from serving as role models for the upcoming generation of young people from the neighborhood. The federal involvement in this matter adds to its seriousness. An investigation is necessary into the serious abuse of power that it occurred when the FBI showed up at Youngboy's concerts with fake information about threats. Sources claim that the feds have been accompanying Youngboy to every location on his tour, disseminating the same bogus allegations of possible violence and attempting to have performances canceled. It's not law enforcement. The goal of this harassment is to ruin his career. The fact that they explicitly stated that Kodak Black's employees will be causing ice demonstrates how they justify their overreach by using current disputes and beefs. They are aware that bringing up other artists may agitate the local police and increase the likelihood of an overreaction. However, it became clear that they had been lying to support their harassment campaign against Youngboy when none of their predictions, shootouts, violence, or issues came to pass. This is why Louisiana's ban on Youngboy is so absurd. Their own economy is suffering as a result. Youngboy performances brought millions of dollars to New York in order to make a political point. Orleans packed restaurants, filled hotels, and gave locals jobs. However, they would rather lose all that economic activity than acknowledge that they were mistaken about him, because they have little influence over the narrative around his accomplishment. This is the same kind of outdated thinking that maintains Louisiana at the bottom of all national economic rankings. In the meantime, Louisiana's foolishness will benefit other states. Texas, Georgia, Florida, and other states that recognize the economic benefits of significant entertainment events will host Youngboy's tours. Everyone else suffers from Louisiana's lost gain. This ban's true effects extend beyond the realm of economics. It's about controlling the narrative about prosperity in urban communities and stifling minority voices. For young people who share his circumstances, Youngboy is a symbol of hope. They are sending a message that no matter how successful you become, they will find a way to penalize you if you don't live up to their standards by prohibiting him from playing in his home state. That's a risky precedent that impacts many artists. This relates to Black artists' rights to share their experiences, acknowledge their accomplishments, and motivate the next generation. They are essentially attempting to dominate the narrative about what is possible for young Black people, when they use public safety as an excuse to stifle those voices. Constitutional infractions are the legal tactic. The Youngboy's legal team is constructing a compelling case based on civil rights violations and constitutional offenses. They contend that the prohibition infringes upon his rights to free speech under the First Amendment and equal protection under the law under the 14th Amendment. They obtained proof that Youngboy was subjected to significantly more stringent security measures than other performers, including white artists with criminal records. Civil rights legislation were created specifically to stop this kind of desperate treatment. This is made considerably more problematic by the governmental aspect. If they are able to demonstrate Youngboy's civil rights were violated when FBI agents disseminated false information to support harassment, this might lead to significant financial losses and regulatory reforms. The bottom line is as follows. Family. Youngboy is not going to back down from this battle. He has the resources, the legal team, and the platform to reveal the true corruption of this entire system. Louisiana chose the incorrect person because they believed they could intimidate him into compliance. This case will establish a standard for how local governments and law enforcement handle successful Black artists. It will be far more difficult for other states and localities to discriminate against Black musicians on the grounds of public safety if Youngboy prevails in his civil rights case. Ironically, they have given Youngboy a greater platform to reveal their corruption by attempting to silence him. Millions of people will watch his documentary exposing Louisiana's systematic oppression. Demonstrate to the world how successful Black men who defy authority are actually treated. There was more to Youngboy's birthday stroll along Bourbon Street than just rejoicing with his admirers. The goal was to demonstrate that he is as much a part of Louisiana as everyone else. It demonstrates how perverted their priorities are that they attempted to use that happy and intimate moment as an excuse for banning him. This battle is far from finished. Youngboy has the means and the resolve to pursue this all the way to the Supreme Court if need. And if he succeeds, which he will, it will permanently alter how the system handles successful Black musicians. What are your thoughts on this circumstance? Do you believe Youngboy will prevail in his civil rights lawsuit against Louisiana? This narrative is just getting started, so please let me know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. Youngboy became stronger and more determined to fight for justice as a result of the system's attempts to break him.